Well, there's a split in the astronomical community. The majority faction says, what's all the fuss about? I mean, it's just a rock from outer space, and it's going to come through our solar system for the first time and then come whizzing back out again. It's the third known object from outside our solar system, so what's the fuss? Another faction, however, says, now, wait a minute. Perhaps this is a visitor, an intelligent visitor from another solar system, and perhaps this week we could have a test of it. That's right. This week, it turns out that the asteroid or comet will be whizzing around our sun, and if it picks up extra energy on its flyby, that would clinch it. That means there's extraterrestrial intelligence involved. So watch for it. On October 30th, starting then, we're going to track it to see whether it gets an extra boost of energy. If so, it means we are being visited.
NASA is launching its Artemis 2 program in 2026, I think, sending crewed missions around the moon and then landing on the lunar surface. Let me ask you, Professor, when do you think that we might see some permanent bases on the moon? Should we? Do we know everything about the moon already or not? Certainly the dark side is different. And what about Mars? You think we'll ever set foot on Mars?
Well, that's a wish list of what we have for NASA. However, it's going to take time. For example, we've been talking about going to the moon for decades, and finally, it's going to come to pass. Within the next few years, we're going to launch not just a manned probe around the moon, we're going to land on the moon's surface itself. And so this is all on the agenda for NASA in the coming years. And then after that, the next target is going to be Mars. But we'll wait and see. We've had so many setbacks, so many disappointments, but now we think we have the momentum to go on to a flyby around the moon, land on the moon, and then on to Mars.
So if I were one of your students, I would go, ooh, 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 like, Arnold Horshack, and ask you, do you think that there is life in the galaxy somewhere? That this could be, what do you think it is? What do you think this thing is?
Well, I'll put my money on the bet that there is intelligent life throughout the galaxy. Not only that, but I think there's intelligent life in our neighborhood, the neighborhood of the Milky Way galaxy. And so I think that don't necessarily bet the house on it, but I would say that yes, there's intelligent life out there. The big question is, can they visit us? That's the big question, because just to go to the nearest star would take 70,000 years with a conventional rocket. That's how long it would take just to go to Alpha Centauri. So we need something like warp drive. Now that, of course, is on the wish list of every science fiction writer, but that's what's required if we're going to meet intelligent life throughout the galaxy. Warp drive.
Speaking of Alpha Centauri, maybe it's the Robinson family finally getting back on the Jupiter too. I don't know. We'll find out. This mystery object has been added to the International Asteroid Warning Network. That's the first interstellar object ever to make that list. So I got to ask you, what the heck is 3I Atlas, and why the clouds of mystery around it? NASA's like tight-lipped.
Watch for it. Starting this week, we're going to begin to monitor and see whether or not it picks up extra energy as it whips around the sun.
So it's Wednesday, right? October 29th, I think it goes the closest point to the sun. Is that right?
That's right. That's the perihelion.
Okay.
And at that point, if it picks up extra energy, that's outside the ordinary bounds of the conservation of energy. So watch for it. As it whips around the sun, if it picks up extra energy, bingo. It means there's intelligent life that is guiding the motion of this object.
This is interesting. Right now, something is happening in our solar system that's sending scientists scrambling for explanations. The interstellar object NASA's been tracking, 3I Atlas, is roughly the size of Manhattan and has been displaying several unusual movements and features which kind of defy typical behavior of comets. It's even catching the attention of some military analysts. So what does this mean for all of us here on Earth? And what can this mysterious object tell us about what's outside our own solar system?
Do you believe that this is something more than just a comet?
Yeah, in fact, a few months ago, I defined a scale where 0 is a natural object, 10 is a technological object that could be a threat to humanity. You know, it's a blind date where on the other side, we may have a serial killer. We just don't know. And I gave it a 4, a 40% chance based on 8 anomalies that it shows of being technological. And of course, if we get more data and it looks like a comet, a natural object, then I would revise my ranking, but it will never go below 2 out of 10 because we know the trajectory is aligned with the planets, and you know the chance for that happening at random is really small.
So we're going to be watching to see if this thing makes any sudden moves over the next number of weeks. Dr. Avi Loeb, we're going to keep an eye on it.
All right, for the future of everything, now to what might be the most consequential news of the week, of the month, or even the decade, or the century. Bear with me. I know I get a little bit stoked about this stuff, but there are 2 scientific papers that just dropped that absolutely blew my mind. You know, there's been so much talk about whether aliens exist. You got the UAP hearings, all those black and white military videos, drones in the sky, then obviously AI making things even more confusing. Well, for me, there are 2 papers that are out right now that just cut through all of the noise by going back in time and taking a look at sky survey plates from the 40s and 1940s and 1950s. Basically, these are pictures of our night sky and all the stars night after night before humans ever sent anything into space. This is pre-Sputnik, pre-Apollo, like nothing metallic, nothing reflective should have been orbiting planet Earth, right? Well, guess what? There were lights in the sky that they still can't explain. They call these transient. Sometimes they were there, sometimes they weren't. Take a look at this right here. So this is the night sky, September 1952. September 1952 on the 14th, a little bit later. July 1952. All of these 3, they look the same, except for right here. What the heck is that? What is this little blob of lights? It wasn't there, and then it was. This is where things get weirder. These papers found that they were most likely to be seen, thousands of these, most likely to be seen when nukes were being tested here on Earth and when lots of people reported seeing UFOs. Again, this is before we ever launched a single satellite. This picture right here, the dates around this, the one that we were just talking about, the dates were around a time when UFOs were seen for several hours over Washington, D.C., the White House, the Capitol building, air traffic controllers. They reported seeing them on their radar all around those dates, July 1952. And joining us now is one of the authors of both of those papers, Beatrice Villarroel. She's an astronomer at the Nordic Institute of Theoretical Physics in Stockholm. Beatrice, thank you so much for being with us. Congratulations on both these papers. Let's start with as simple of a question as possible here. These lights in the sky from before Sputnik, were these artificial objects orbiting Earth before we were ever in space?
For what we see, these kind of transients or flashes that you see, they have a very interesting feature. You usually get these kind of flashes when you have something that is very flat and very reflective, and in a, let's say, in a geosynchronous orbit at, let's say, 42,000 kilometers.
Wait, hold on. Very flat, very reflective in geosynchronous orbit. That doesn't sound
around
natural,
yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Yes, and the funny thing is that we can show that there are solar reflections because there is a deficit of them in the Earth's shadow at these altitudes, and that means that at least a fraction of the transients of these flashes that we're looking at, like 30-35%, appear to be due to these solar reflections of such objects. And if we think about that, these transients come from images taken before the first human satellite, they do look pretty artificial. Although I would say that nature can always surprise us with things that we just can't imagine right now.
كما تعلم هناك الآلاف، عشرات الآلاف من هذه، إذا كنت أفهم الأمر بشكل صحيح ربما أكثر. ماذا كنت تعتقد عندما بدأت ترى ارتباطا بين التجارب النووية التي كانت تجري في نفس الوقت، أيضا مشاهدات الأجسام الطائرة المجهولة التي كانت تحدث في جميع أنحاء الولايات المتحدة، ذلك الارتباط هل لفت انتباهك على الفور؟ هل شعرت بالقلق حيال ذلك؟
حسنا مثل المرة الأولى على مفعول ذلك كان عن طريق الصدفة. صديقي ديفيد ألتمان يخبرني عن واشنطن في لاب 1952. من ثم عن طريق الصدفة اكتشفت أن أفضل مرشح لدينا عندما كنا نبحث عن خط زوال جاء أيضا من نفس حادثة واشنطن عام 1952، ولكن من عطلة نهاية الأسبوع الأخرى، لأنه كان موزعا على مدى أسبوعين. وكنت مثل همم هذا غريب، ومن ثم كان هذا ما شكل الفرضية التي أردنا اختبارها. هل هناك ارتباط زمني بين هذه الظواهر العابرة وأحداث الأجسام الطائرة المجهولة؟ ونرى أنه ارتباط ضعيف، لكنه يبدو ذا دلالة إحصائية ونجد ذلك.
يعني تبدو لك عالم منفتح الذهن جدا، وهو ما يفترض أن يكون عليه العلم، لكن ما رأيك فيما قد يكون هذا؟
حسن، يعني هون يمكننا فقط التكهن بشكل كبير. إذا نظرنا إلى الأرقام، مثل فقط من نصف الكرة الشمالي عندنا 35 ألف ظاهرة عابرة. أنا لا أعرف كم من هذه تأتي من ماذا، يعني لا يمكن لجسم واحد أن يعطي عدة ظواهر عابرة، ولكن من الممكن أيضا أننا نفقد الكثير من الظواهر العابرة. لذا أقدر أن يكون العدد في مكان ما بين عشرات الآلاف إلى ربما 100,000 جسم أو 100,000 جسم أو نحو ذلك حول الأرض. والاصطناعي هو احتمال مش يعلم، مثل إذا كان بعض النفايات الفضائية القديمة من حضارة سابقة، أو إذا كان لدينا بعض المجسات اللي جاءت من كوكب آخر، لا أعرف. أمل أن يقوم شخص ما، بعض علماء الفلك الذين هم مثل مدربون جيدا على العمل مع هذا النوع من البيانات، أتحدث عن علماء فلك محترفين الذين سيرغبون في محاولة إعادة نفس التحليل باستخدام بالومار، ولكن أيضا مع مسوحات أخرى وألواح أخرى، يعني خدمة الألواح الأخرى بشكل خاص، لأن ذلك يمكن أن يكون مفيدا حقا، لأننا نحتاج إلى معرفة ما إذا كان يمكن تكرار هذه النتيجة مع دراسات أخرى، وإذا كان الأمر كذلك فسيكون ذلك ممتعا للغاية أو لا.
بصفتك إنسانا على كوكب الأرض الذي كما تعلم قام بهذا الاكتشاف، ما هي الأهمية بالنسبة لك؟
أنا فقط أريد أن أعرف ما هي هذه الأشياء، وأريد أن أعرف لماذا هي هنا. إذا أنا لا أعرف حقا ما يمكنني قوله، فقط أنا فضولي، وهذا كل شيء.